We have finally made it. Hello everyone and welcome to the center of the universe for today's special WrestleMania preview. On today's edition, we will be previewing night one of the grandest stage of them all, live from Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay, and all of the chaos that is due to come on that eventful night in Tampa Bay. So without further ado, it's been a long time coming. Let's get into it. Before we get into the main card, let's take an opportunity to look at what is to come our way on night one's pre-show. Two championship matches on their way for you. The first match of the evening will feature War Machine taking on the Kings of Wrestling. This looked to be an interesting tag team matchup on its own, and it's in the first place, with the team of Daniel Bryan and Cesaro having formed a mutual partnership due to their respect for one another after a matchup leading to the King of the Ring for Daniel Bryan. However, the partnership would remain so, and they would make their claim towards the Raw Tag Team titles. But as we saw on the last episode of Monday Night Raw before WrestleMania, it is not simply Daniel Bryan and Cesaro versus War Machine, for the American Dragon himself would make a grand return for the first time in a WWE setting. Bryan Danielson will step into WrestleMania to team with Cesaro to take on War Machine. Whichever way you look at it, this is going to be one of those tag team matches that will be remembered for some time. And who knows, if the American Dragon is involved, it might just steal the show. But one thing's for certain, if Bryan Danielson's involved, someone's going to get their head kicked in. And to close out night one's pre-show, it is going to be a very personal contest between Mark Andrews and ECW Cruiserweight Champion Rey Mysterio, with the very Cruiserweight Championship on the line. Mark Andrews believes he is the rightful man to be the Cruiserweight Champion and the rightful person to lead the ECW Cruiserweight division into a new era. He believes that the time has passed for Rey Mysterio. He is a placeholder. He is ruining his own legacy, and Mark Andrews has no problem taking care of that legacy, and Mysterio with it at WrestleMania. It seemed as if things would just be left there. However, Mark Andrews started to make things deeply personal. On more than one occasion, he would involve Rey Mysterio's son, Dominic, first in just name-dropping him, suggesting that Rey Mysterio would go home and be the useless father that he has always been. Then, there came too much. Rey Mysterio's son, Dominic Mysterio, would appear on ECW and challenge Mark Andrews to a match. While Andrews would be victorious in that very match, he would finish it off by asking Mysterio what mattered more to him, his son or his championship. Mysterio would run out and effectively take the bait, getting assaulted so that his own son didn't have to. Whichever way you look at it, Mark Andrews has crossed one hell of a line, and at WrestleMania, could he pay for it in the courtesy of a 619? Or will tyranny rain down on the Cruiserweight division? Kicking things off, it is a WrestleMania tradition. It is a six-man ladder match, but this time, it is for the ECW Television Championship, and this time, it feels as if the stakes could not be even higher if they tried. Adam Cole, Tomohiro Ishii, Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, Rusev, and the catalyst of this all, Hiromu Takahashi, will lock horns in that ladder match with the title hanging above the ring, waiting for one of these six men to bring it down with them. What started with Adam Cole defeating Rusev after the Royal Rumble to win the ECW Television Championship quickly turned sour. Tomohiro Ishii, the man who arguably was going to be the one to challenge Rusev that evening, if not for an assault from Los Ingobernables de Japón, wanted the opportunity at Adam Cole and got it. However, the match would end in disqualification, courtesy of a Hiromu Takahashi run-in, and all chaos led from there. Ishii would stay involved, Hiromu would stick his neck in the woods, Cole would still be the hunted champion, Rusev would make his return, and Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre made their statements true, first on the champion, and since then, on one another. It is going to be absolute insanity heading into this contest, and perhaps there is no better way to kick off WrestleMania than with this very match. And it's not as if the six-man chaos ends there. Oh no, we got plenty more on our way. Then it'll be a triple threat tag team matchup for the SmackDown tag team titles featuring the champions, the saviors, and the challengers, the Gorillas of Destiny, and the duo of EC3 and MJF, known as Perfect. All three teams want to cement their legacy in the division. The Gorillas of Destiny want to stand at the top once again. The saviors want to cleanse the division. And Perfect believe it is their destiny to be tag team champions, the very word which prompted the Gorillas of Destiny to make a shocking return on SmackDown and thus lead to this triple threat tag team matchup. All three teams want the same prize, and elimination rules will apply in this triple threat matchup. Who will leave as SmackDown tag team champions? We will find out when the bell rings and all 6 men are legal at the same time. It is going to be yet more chaos. But in a match that I believe will be in stark contrast to those first two matches previously discussed, it will be Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler for the SmackDown Women's Championship. There is no doubt about it, these are the two most dominant forces on the SmackDown Women's roster, and they are colliding at WrestleMania. Becky Lynch made her return at the Women's Royal Rumble, becoming the runner-up, of course, to eventual winner Rhea Ripley, but Becky Lynch did not believe things were done there. She believed that she had an opportunity at Shayna Baszler lined up to become a record-breaking 5-time Women's Champion. Shayna Baszler wanted to see her go through everyone there was, and she did. Becky Lynch would go through Asuka and Nikki Cross to get to this opportunity, and now here we are, the man and the Queen of Spades at WrestleMania, and if anything's to go by what happened in the last episode of SmackDown, there is no love lost on either side. In a war of words between the two, Becky Lynch would win the war of words and there was no denying it, but Shayna Baszler would send a bigger message, choking out Becky Lynch in the backstage area in the Ace of Spades clutch. This, despite what you may think about it, is a personal bout with a lot on the line for the legacy of both women and, of course, that SmackDown Women's Championship. And speaking of legacy, we have a legacy that will find its conclusion at WrestleMania. The final match in the historic career of Trish Stratus. She will step into that ring with the boss, Sasha Banks, and the bell will ring for the final time, in victory or in defeat, for the career of Trish Stratus. What was simply meant to be a fantastic return at the Royal Rumble and a stare down at the ages with Sasha Banks as them two as the first two in the first ever Women's Royal Rumble quickly became a blood spat, with the two at each other's throats throughout the bout, eventually leading to Sasha Banks being eliminated by Trish Stratus herself. Banks did not take this too kindly and said that the next time SmackDown was in Canada, she wanted Trish Stratus to meet her in the ring. Trish did exactly that, and when they stood there, Sasha Banks challenged her to one final bout at WrestleMania. Stratus accepted, and since then has been taking the time to train and get as good as she possibly can for the final match of her career. Be that training with her longtime friends and rivals in Mickie James and Lita, or as we saw a number of weeks ago, taking tutelage from former Raw Women's Champion and undeniable badass Ronda Rousey. Sasha Banks made a joke to Trish Stratus on the final SmackDown before WrestleMania, saying all that training would be for nothing. But that didn't seem to be the case when Sasha Banks was tapping to the Ronda Rousey-inspired armbar that Trish Stratus had her locked in. If she does that at WrestleMania, Stratus' career and legacy will go out on a high. This is a battle of legacy for one very simple reason. For Trish Stratus, it's about breaking down doors and showing that women's wrestling can do anything it can set its sights on, and leaving with her head held high as a trailblazer who enabled all that to become reality. For Sasha Banks, it is about Sasha Banks' legacy. Nothing else matters, and nothing would be sweeter than getting revenge from the Royal Rumble and being the one to say she retired Trish Stratus. But don't think the dream matches stop there, because believe me, they don't. If anything, it could get even bigger. The United States Championship will be on the line in a fantastic bout between Jeff Hardy and Kenny Omega. A number of weeks ago, we believed that the career of the charismatic enigma could be all over, that there was nothing left to do for Jeff Hardy in this business, and after repeated beatings from Brock Lesnar, he believed that was the case. But Hardy dusted himself off, got back up to his feet, and with the return of the No More Words theme, he would go through everything that was possible, finally getting his hands on Brock Lesnar once again. With his career on the line, in a tables, ladders, and chairs match, he would beat the Beast. And Kenny Omega would have no choice but to offer the challenge to Jeff Hardy for the United States Championship. For these guys, there is no bad blood, there is no personal ailment. They want to put on the best match at WrestleMania, the dream match at WrestleMania, and with it, put on a match that people will never forget for the United States Championship. Kenny Omega believes that there is no doubt in his mind that he will be able to overcome the charismatic Enigma, and Jeff Hardy believes that with Omega's recent performances heading into WrestleMania, the best bout machine will be no match for the Enigma. Whatever happens, there is fantastic respect on both sides, and I truly cannot wait to see who will leave the grandest stage of them all with the brand new looking United States Championship. But above all else, we as wrestling fans should be blessed to be having this match featuring for us on night one of WrestleMania. This is going to be amazing. But once again, stark contrast rears its head, because in the next matchup, there is no dream match. There is no positive ailments heading into this. It is ECW on the line. Tetsuya Naito versus Alistair Black for the ECW Championship. Ever since Naito became ECW Champion, LIJ have attempted to run roughshod through ECW, attempting to effectively burn it all to the ground. With Johnny Gargano out of the picture after what transpired at the Royal Rumble, the celebration of Los Ingobernables was truly underway until Alistair Black crashed it. With black masses to all men but Tetsuya Naito, he said that vengeance had drawn the hand of Tetsuya Naito and that he was coming for the ECW Championship. Since then, Naito's rage has taken over. He destroyed the ECW Championship in Korakuen Hall and forced Alistair Black to run the gauntlet, with the opportunity at WrestleMania being added at the end of it by Kurt Angle. He would make it through Evil, Sonata, and Hiromu Takahashi with assistance by none other than Johnny Gargano himself. Though Black may be blinded in one eye after a vicious assault with a crowbar by Tetsuya Naito, his vision may never have been clear, and the goal at hand even clearer still. Save ECW, become ECW champion, and kick the damn head off of Tetsuya Naito and bring Los Ingobernables de Japón crashing down on the grandest stage of them all. If Naito wins, however, it will only get worse from here for ECW. We will find out in that very, very heated match just what will transpire between Black and Naito, with not just the ECW Championship on the line, but the brand as a whole. And then comes the main event. The WWE Championship up for grabs. The Savior, the Blackheart, the Gatecrasher. Ricochet, Ciampa, Moxley. What was originally supposed to be Tommaso Ciampa versus Ricochet for the WWE Championship quickly turned into a triple threat match, courtesy of the involvement of Moxley himself. Ricochet would make the challenge toward Tommaso Ciampa, inadvertently saving Jon Moxley from having his head kicked into a pole by the WWE Champion. And with it, it seemed as if we were set for a battle of mind games between Blackheart and Savior, but that didn't end up being the case. Instead, Moxley would defeat both men, pinning Ricochet after the King of the Ring event and choking out Tommaso Ciampa 2 weeks later to make himself an addition to this matchup. Since then, Ricochet has believed that there is a conspiracy against him of sorts, that this is SmackDown's doing, that SmackDown does not want to be saved or cleansed, and that's why they have brought Jon Moxley into this thing. Ricochet believes that that will be completely undone, and that he will be WWE Champion, he will cleanse WrestleMania, and he will save the WWE Championship from the hands of Tommaso Ciampa. Ciampa, on the other hand, believes that SmackDown and the WWE Championship cannot cooperate without him. That without the WWE Championship, Tommaso Ciampa simply is nothing. And that without Tommaso Ciampa, Goldie is going to fall into the wrong hands and be cursed and be poisoned. And that is what Tommaso Ciampa is there to do. We have already seen that Ciampa is willing to do anything to keep his hands on Goldie, including assaulting his best friend Mojo Rawley, explaining his actions as saving Rawley from himself, because all that matters to Ciampa now is Goldie. For Moxley, he just wants to be WWE Champion. He just wants to walk into WrestleMania, walk through the crowd, walk into the ring, hit a paradigm shift on both men. He doesn't care if the building burns to the ground in the midst of all of that, as long as he raises a middle finger at the end of it and has the WWE Championship over his shoulder. For Ricochet and for Ciampa, it is personal. For Moxley, it is about adulation and celebration and raising that damn roof to the ground. Could that happen? You'll have to tune in to WrestleMania's main event and find out for yourself. And that brings the preview of Night 1 to an end. There is so much to come its way here on the first evening of WrestleMania, and I truly believe on more than one occasion as well, we are truly blessed with what we are going to be seeing transpiring in that ring in Tampa Bay. Before we get there, though, we will be running through Night 2's action as well, and what you can expect on that massive evening with the biggest match, potentially, in the history of this series. We hope to see you there for Night 2's preview as well, and we hope to see you in Tampa Bay for Night 1 of the grandest stage of them all. As for now, we'll see you very soon. Take care, guys, and ta-ra.